Welcome to the Billionaire Lifestyle Podcast with your host, Emmett Muckles. Please visit iTunes, Stitcher, or emmettmuckles.com to listen to all the episodes for free.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Billionaire Lifestyle Podcast, where you can get information from entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, people who are consciously living their life, to give you a measure of how to consciously move forward in your life and give you the information, confidence, and overall knowledge to help you navigate this life. Remember, we are all billionaires. We were born billionaires. As a matter of fact, 30 days into conception, we were billionaires. 2 to the power of 30. As those cells start to divide and the divine energy causes that dance, you were over 1 billion cells. It's not about money. It is about experiences and life and the lessons you were here to learn. Today, my guest is Chris Prefontaine, and he is the expert in buying and selling on terms as far as real estate. What I really like about Chris is the fact that he is doing the exact thing that we should be embodying. We got caught up in this industrial age where we went and begged and asked for something, but he is doing that thing that is age old, which is he is mentoring his family and friends to bring them along to bolster their life. How are you, Chris?
Excellent. Thank you, Emmett.
I want to start at the beginning. What brought you to this space and how did it come about?
Well, I will date myself here, but I've been at this since 91. So you're talking 28 years or so now. I started with land, then built some homes, and then had a realty executives franchise, kind of a broker owner realtor hat at that time.
Yeah.
Sold that in 2000 to Coldwell Banker, then started coaching and doing my own investments around 2000. So for the last 19 years or so.
Now, the biggest question that I like to help people with is the start, because inertia, once you get the inertia, it kind of pushes and pulls you along. But most people have a problem with the start. So you are coaching people and helping them with real estate. How a complete novice, how would you motivate them to get moving and to stay moving?
Okay, so that's an interesting one, because if I have to motivate them, I'm probably going to have to motivate them for the rest of their life. So here's what we do. We actually have them apply. When they apply, we not just go through some questions and get to know them personally and their financial situation and all that, but then each family member interviews them, because it's not just coaching for us. It's like our community is pretty neat. We call it the Wicked Smart real estate community.
Yeah.
And it's family. And they'll tell you that. Like, they look forward to the events, look forward to family. So to your motivation question, we help them set their goals and then back off kind of the money producing activities to get them there. But we shouldn't have to motivate them at that point. We can keep them on track with their permission for accountability. That's what we ask them permission to do. But other than that, they should be able to keep themselves motivated in theory. But I'm sure we serve some indirect role in that too, right? Because we're the role model.
Yeah. And it really is not motivation, because somebody can want to do something, but the mind chatter, the social programming that most Americans have, or people around the world, they give you the opposite of inertia. They give you this pushback, even though you're really motivated, you're really, you got your core and this is what you have to do. There's that thing that says, do you find that you get people that you just have to give them the assurance? That's more or less the assurance that this can be done.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly with both of those pieces you said. So one piece, as I just understood, is the space between their ears. There is no question that we can teach you, this person, the exact same thing. They'll all come out of it different. They'll all go fast or slow because of the space between their ears. It's like, for some, 80 to 95% of the game is that. fortunately or unfortunately. So yes, we do things like that. Like we came out with a program with Dr. Joe Vitale called the 31-Day Billionaire, where each day they listen to watch something. That has nothing to do with real estate. So yeah, the space up there is super important. And I said there was two pieces, and as I was talking, I forgot the second piece I was going to tell you about. So it'll come to me.
It'll come to you, man. Now, we've heard of term insurance. We've heard of term parking. What does it mean really to buy and sell property on terms?
Yeah. So we buy, when you asked kind of the history of what I did, the important piece in the middle that we didn't highlight, and I'll bring it up now to answer this question, is the 2008 debacle. Like so many, I got crushed. And so when that happened, I re-engineered the business to be what it is today, to never go back there. And that was not signing personally on loans, not putting up your own money. That first one's a biggie. If people are signing personally on loans, they're putting themselves and their family at jeopardy. So buying on terms means we buy lease purchase or owner financing. Those both don't require $10. We have written $10 into our agreement, so they don't require cash.
Right.
And they do not require personal signature on loans. So give you an example. We control right now around, at any one time, 50 or 60 homes, because some are going and some are coming, right?
Yeah.
But we are not on one single solitary loan and never will be. So when I put my head on the pillow at night, I'm not thinking about anything to do with the banks. I can't stand banks. I won't sign personally with them, and that's just how it's going to stay.
You and I have this kindred thing about banks. We'll talk offline about that. What about another strategy? What if you have an LLC or an LLP and that entity is assuming the responsibility of the properties versus, your method is a good one as well, but it keeps you kind of solvent away from it, and we've seen this with many business people who go bankrupt and they have all this property, and the next, within a year, you see them like they haven't been affected. And I was telling a friend of mine, I was like, that's because their company was what really went bankrupt. They were fine. So do you see that as a strategy as well, as forming a company, using that as your leverage to buy on terms or purchase property?
Yes, 100%. So that's what we tell them to do, and that's what we do. So in our case, we have one set up for each state. We operate in 3 states here. But all the students, all that we call associates, people we do deals with around the country, all set up their own LLCs. Yes, for sure. Never take title or lease purchase or anything in your personal name. There's just no reason to. Unfortunately, Emmett, as you know, we live in a litigious society. And so yes. Why would you put something in your personal name when, Sally or John can fall down the stairs and come after you? I gave a crazy example, but look, people are so happy right now, and just the way it is. It's no one's fault. It just is. Yeah, that's true.
So you're not a broker or a real estate agent or buyer's or seller's agent. How can a new investor become a real full-time real estate entrepreneur or solopreneur?
Yeah, so I was licensed. Like I said, I had a traditional business 95 to 2000. I was a broker. I resigned it somewhere around 2009 or 10. And I didn't have to, but I did because there's just less drama as an investor when you're not a realtor. I'll give you an example, and if we're going too long time-wise, you tell me. But if I'm doing a mailing to a geographic area as an investor, that's great. If a realtor gets it, they'll call, they'll refer it. It's like a good relationship. When I was a realtor, I do a mailing to a neighborhood. It's just a blanket mailing.
Yeah.
If by chance I happen to hit someone's listing because they lived in that neighborhood, I would get a call from the realtor like I was trying to take a list. Like I could care less about a listing, but it was just drama.
Yeah.
Now with no license, it's fine. So it can be licensed or not. A lot of our students are licensed. It's okay. But to be full time, regardless of that, it's super important to have someone say to us, "Hey, here's my goals. Here's what I got to replace for income, for example. Here's the lifestyle I want. What will that look like? How long will that take?" And to which we say, well, here's what you'd have to do. Are you willing to do that, and for how long? And usually it's like a year or two plan where if they want to, they can make the transition to full time. If they'll do that with me, and if they'll then allow me to hold them accountable on a weekly basis, they literally cannot get off track if they do that. We just had a gentleman in Fresno, California. He set a goal in February of 17 for a 2-year goal. He was about a month off, but he just went full time right to plan. So you can do it if that's what you want. Other people say, "Hey, I just want to keep nice supplemental income going. I like doing a deal or two a year, and I'm okay with it. I'll keep my job, you know?
Yeah. And that's a good item to have, because 2008 was a wake-up call for many people. Some people stayed in the matrix, but many people unplugged and came out and started searching for their way to control their own life. And with this, you can gain financial freedom, you say, when you become an investor. How is that possible to go from, novice to, okay, I get this, I didn't realize it was available to me?
Yeah. So the jump is some mental, as you and I just alluded to, right? Because if you're used to earning, I'll just use a number. If you're used to earning 75, 100 grand, a lot of good jobs in that range, and you come to us and you say, I want to do this, but I want to earn $1 million. Okay, we'll get you there, but you got to learn how to make $1 million first, skill-wise and mentally.
Yeah.
So that might take time. However, the reason it's, I won't say easy, but simple. There's a big difference. I say simple because what we're doing is predictable once you get over those other two hurdles I just said, mental and skill set. But the numbers are staggering. I mean, our deals right now, we create literally 3 paydays per deal, and we can go into that in a second. But those total like 75,000 per deal, and around, that's us. And around the country, we range with students 45 grand to 110 grand. But those are big numbers. So if someone was to go out and just do a couple deals a year, it's a game changer.
Yeah.
And we have people doing, I just hung up with one of our associates. He's on his 16th deal in 18 months. That's pretty big. So that's how you can make that jump, but you just got to be patient with yourself. One of the biggest challenges I see in education and real estate anyway is false expectations. You see the light commercials. Man, you're not going to get rich quick in 30 days in real estate. You can get rich quick forever, but you got to give yourself some time. And who cares if it took you 3 years to get to that point? So if they can manage your expectations and they can get mentally there and skill set wise there, they can make that major shift financially.
I've been in business myself. I've gone from hustle to literally being the proprietor of a business by accident. And that's kind of how this came about. Yep. Not by accident. It's from the knowledge that I acquired because I was trying to be in business. And, God in life will show you, oh, you're trying. Let me steer you in the right way of how to do it correctly. And I realized this is just an education that they don't give us in any kind of school, and our parents typically don't know. So it's a cyclical thing. 2 years, 24 months. Think about if you tried to go get an associate's degree. That's a change in your life. That's the timetable I always tell people. Don't expect to really see dramatic change when you start something, particularly in business, for 24 months, because it's going to take you a learning curve, and then it's going to take you some time to get your inertia built up to start pushing you forward. You have strategies. Which ones do you recommend for new investors to prioritize? I believe there's like 2 or 3 that you succinctly say, hey, follow these. What are those?
Yeah. And if I could, let me just comment on what you said, because I think it's super good. Spot on when you said 24 months. I just want to say this one thing about that. Here's an example. Let's say you and I were starting any business. Yeah. And we needed to raise money and grab some investors. And we get them in the boardroom, you and I, and we go through the whole plan, and we give them the sales pitch, and they say, great, this is great. I trust you guys. Let's do it. And then we say to them, awesome, I'm going to give this a shot for 90 days, and then we'll see how it goes. Do you think they'd give us 10 cents? They wouldn't. So the commitment thing you said for 24 months is they got to commit first and then go with it and put the blinders on. Yeah. So strategies when you're new. Strategies when you're new are the 2 that I mentioned, because you're not putting yourself or your family at risk, and you're not signing personally, and that is the lease purchase or the owner financing. It's a great way for a new investor. It's a great way for a seasoned investor too, but it's a phenomenal way for an investor to break in. And how do I know that? I was broke after the 2008 crash. Yeah. My credit went from 780 to in the toilet, maybe 4 something or 5.25, however low it can go. And then I had no money to do anything. So I had to do that. And that's how this thing all grew and blossomed into what it is today. So I can speak firsthand and say that's the best strategy to do.
Wow. Yeah, that's really funny, because I was just looking at my credit score. My credit score after the crash was down to like 620.
Yeah, that's not too bad, actually. But yeah, I mean, a lot of us took a bounce at
620, and now I'm at 8 something. And that was me diligently thinking outside the box of how to automate everything so that it meets these criteria for understanding. Your family, you bring your family into this. What was that like? Because, often we have a partner in our life who aren't quite 100% committed to our vision. Like, hey, honey, I want to do this. Or wife says to partner, I have this idea, and okay, cool. I'm with you. I'm down with you. Okay, I'm going to wash the dishes. No, I need you with me. I need your ideas. I need your yin to my yang. How important was that? And did you run into any obstacles during your time with your family?
Well, okay, so a couple of things we can talk about here. One is I'm lucky, fortunate. My wife's always been supportive. So even when the crash happened, we just, you pivot, you do what you got to do, and you keep going. So I've had that support. So that's key. So I can't speak to if you don't have that support. That's a necessary thing you got to have. As far as the business, now I've got with us is my son-in-law, Zach, my son, Nick, my daughter, Kayla, and then a great team of people that consider themselves family. I wish I could say to you, I had this grand plan. It all came together the way it's supposed to. We didn't. What we had is I started back after the crash. My son happened to be in the same office as a realtor, was overhearing everything I was doing. I said to him, hey, I'm going to fast forward here, obviously, but I said to him, hey, can you help on a part-time basis with just some marketing and online things? Because I don't know how to do that. Sure. He started doing that. We got busier. He said, geez, this is such a healthier environment than dealing with realtors and everybody bickering. And so I could do this with you. I said, all right, great. So he came full-time in November of 14, I think it was. And then the following year, Zach and Kayla were in the hospitality industry around here. We have a lot of tourists. So they were doing bartending, personal training. It's good money, but the lifestyle's awful. They said, geez, would you have room for us? And my daughter, of course, grew up with the real estate business. And so I said, yeah, I mean, there's no free lunch here. There's no salaries. If you guys want to come on board, put your expertise to work. And as deals close, we'll all get a piece. I'm game, but there's no free ride here. They said, we'll go for it. So they did, to their credit. And they've grown so much as business entrepreneurs, and as a family we've grown just because they took that plunge. And now they're doing, the rest is history. They're doing phenomenal. Kayla and Zach bought a house on lease purchase recently of their own.
Wow.
And, they're living it. So it's pretty cool. So I like the way it organically happened. Like, Emmett, there's no one of us that likes the other role that the other person does. That's how it organically just happened. And so we support each other and we know each other's roles, but we all like our own role and we want to stay there. So it's pretty cool.
That's awesome. I was recently thinking about the entrepreneur space, the solopreneur space in America, particularly the middle class. That's where I came out of the middle class. I came out of auto workers. And I realized something that most Americans don't have, which is they don't understand financial literacy. And financial literacy in their personal life. And they say, I got to go make money. But they never really keep the money, or they're always looking for more. And you alluded to something earlier, like if you want to make $80,000, $100,000, that's really doable. But if you want to make $1 million, you're going to really have to work and get into a mind space. How important is it to, before you get into this, to understand what your money does and where it goes in your personal life?
All right. I just scribbled a note on that because here's the deal. I was told this years ago by a gentleman by the name of Todd. And Todd said, Chris, your income will never, ever outgrow you, meaning financial literacy, like you just said, meaning your mental capacity between the ears. You've got to keep developing that, or your income might falsely go up sometime, but it'll come back down, like you just said. They'll lose it.
Yeah.
So it'll never outgrow you. And it's a scary thought for some people. So I even tell the kids in the team, our company will never outgrow us. Like, we got to always keep growing. What's the same with money? So financial literacy is huge. When the kids were younger, we showed them how to do a budget. But we also sent my son Nick to a class, and my niece too. Like, you've got to learn that stuff, or the money won't come. But energy wise, reality wise, I'm just a big believer in that.
Awesome. Now that we've gotten that out the way, because that's a really important topic, is you have to understand what you need in life versus what you want so that you can maintain your finances and use them wisely. But that transfers into running a business. What, for someone who hasn't started yet, what goes into running a business? And, well,
I don't want to belittle like someone doing $1 million, but here's my kind of tiers that I would address. So I think, and you might agree with this, that a lot of us can get to $1 million in a lot of different businesses by like a lot of hustle, more of something, more email, more call. You just hustle more, you work harder. But when you get to $1 million thereabouts, it's a different deal. You've got to learn, just like we've been talking about, you got to learn different skill sets. Now you have to learn how to scale, how to hire, how to outsource. There's a whole different level there. So I think that from an entrepreneurial standpoint, it's super important that you understand that. But at the beginning, I think the short answer is always that you find a mentor that's where you want to be or has been where you want to be. And then you put the blinders on for, in your case, 24 months, or I tell people 36 months, and don't look left, right, or backwards. Follow that for 24 to 36 months, and you will have a good experience if you could discipline yourself to do that. And that means any business. So that's how, in my opinion, you find, I don't care if it's opening a restaurant, you find someone that did it, you find someone that's still doing it, so they're current with you, and then you don't look back for 24 to 36 months. That's, in my opinion, how you do any business.
Awesome. I often hear in actual businesses that I've worked for and entrepreneurs, hey, we got to grow. We got to grow. We got to scale. I see those words interchangeably, but and I stop people when I can. Some people you just have to let flow with.
Yeah.
Other people I say, stop. Those are two different things. And they're like, what do you mean? Have you seen where your business is trying to grow, and then you have to scale it to make it, or scale up or scale down to meet that demand?
Yeah, I think that's every single stage of the biz, right? And I will constantly say this, but that's also any biz, not just real estate, right? So yeah, absolutely. There's tweaks. Sometimes you got to take a couple steps back. I'm the ultimate optimist, so I'll always say, okay, here's the plan for the year. Sometimes it took. We launched a new course a couple of years ago, and we thought, okay, we'll have this done by the first of the year. And then February came along, and we were all, teams of people working. Didn't have it done till May. Couldn't really launch till July. So we look back and we go, where the half a year ago? Well, we had to take a couple steps back. We had to then scale it the proper way and then grow into it. And in hindsight, it was great. But there's going to be those types of bopping and weaving. I think that's what you're referring to. Yeah. I keep going over some themes because I really want it to sink into people that it's just not what you see on Instagram, LinkedIn. Hey, you can make $1 million. Hey, yeah, you can be an Amazon bestseller. This is work. It's those people that are showing you, they're showing you the results, but very rarely do they say, look, this is going to might be a little bit difficult. For some of you, it'll be very easy, but there's work involved and there's a certain amount of uncertainty involved depending on who you are. And I just want people to understand that it's a great journey, but you have to be prepared. You have to be prepared for inevitabilities. You have to be prepared for growth. You have to be prepared for somebody might put something that seems like it's colossal on your table. You're like, that's too big for me, but your mindset may limit you from venturing forward. And all the things that you were saying helps to give them strategies and mindsets of how to move forward with their ventures. Now, you took this information and you said, I am going to be like the Bible says. You says, all right, this venture that we're doing is fruitful. Now we're going to do the multiply, which means we're going to go out and we're going to share it with other people. How did you communicate that? How did you put that all together so it's digestible for anyone? Okay, so 2 comments on that too. It sparks all kinds of cool things. We could do a 3-hour show here, but
I'm like that, man.
It's cool because you ask great questions. Okay, so when we started, my intent was to buy homes, right? I love real estate, and then exit the best way we can. Then there was a gentleman locally. This started the whole thing. it was like 2013. He was in the War College. We live on an island with 3 towns, and the Navy school's over there. And this gentleman called me and said, look, I'm done with my tours to Iraq, and I'm just done. I'm going back to civilian life. I'm going to move back to Oregon. And before I do, he had heard about us locally. Could you train me? And at that time, I didn't have a coaching program, but I had coached years in other venues. So I said, sure, I'll coach you. So I started coaching him. And then word of mouth, and then it led to some people saying, hey, could you send an email to my list and give them some good content? It just grew organically. Again, I use that word again. And then we said, wait a minute. The industry, unfortunately, many industries are, but real estate in general, loaded with all these promises that I was referring to earlier and false expectations. Yeah. So I said, all right, if I'm going to do this, my style is rather blunt anyway. So I said, I'm just going to give it to them. Like, I'm going to tell them what happens. I'm going to tell them what can go wrong. There's a whole chapter in my book about that. So they don't go out in the field and say, wow, that was all supposed to be roses. So then this course basically says, A through Z, here's what we do. You can do it. And we give them the support to do that. So it is very duplicatable. That's how we started out. And we don't have them at all these like events we run around the country doing quote unquote free events that you see advertised on TV, because you don't get out of there free.
Yeah, you don't.
Let me tell you.
Back of the room.
So we don't have it. We do the course. It's a basic foundation. You like it, great. Come see us once a year at our annual event. It's that simple. There's no fluff with us.
Is it affordable for anyone?
Yeah, our course. Well, first of all, okay, let me address. This is important. I don't want people doing anything with us until they've read the free books. I'll give them a free book on your show. Remind me at the end. I'll even pay for the shipping if they said they're on your show. So they go through the free book. They go through. It's an Amazon bestseller for $20-something, about free for your listeners. They go to a free webinar. So then they can, okay, do I like it or not? If they like it, then they can invest in themselves for the course. It's under $1,000. It's not a big deal, but that'll put them in the position to create those 3 paydays we talked about. That's pretty neat.
Yeah. This is one of the premises about the new economy. We have to get back to how our communities were, which means we had a small village. Let's say you and I are cousins, and we live in this little village, and there's probably like 24 huts. We knew everybody in that village. So you and I, we're probably water guys. So we go down to the thing, we get water every day, we make sure the water is good, and we bring it back to the village. My brother is probably the hunter guy. He goes out and hunts. Everybody has a role, and that's their job. It's the same thing in this community. We have to get back to finding our job and how we contribute and serve to the community, as you're doing. You're serving a community. That's the new economy. It is not going and begging for something for somebody else to give you something, which is industrial. Now, I'm going to have you to go back in time. Go back in time where you were wearing really, really tight clothes. You probably had a lot of hair. So picture this. You're sitting on your couch. You're just chilling. All the family is gone. They're off doing their thing. You have a dad moment. Probably sitting there watching Black Mirror or something on Netflix. And you're like, ah. And the doorbell rings. And you're like, oh, who is this? And you get up, you go to the door, you open the door, and there sits the 21-year-old you. And he looks at you and goes, I don't look bad. And he goes, I don't have a lot of time. I have about 1 minute before I will disappear and go back to my time. But what can you give me so that I can venture to be you or better?
It's a deep one. I'm going to go back to what I said. I say it all the time. That is, find someone running where you want to run and go with them, because you can't mess up. I don't care what it is you want to do. It's the mentor thing again.
Yeah.
I'm just a big believer in it, because success leaves clues. And by the way, it doesn't have to be expensive. I want to point that out. You can read a book and reach out to the author, and they're usually flattered, and you can usually gain some advice from that. And I've done it many times. So don't think you always have to pay ridiculous money to have a mentor. Find one and they'll help you.
Yeah, because we're in that society now. Great answer, by the way. We're in this society where everybody is just literally trying to sell to you and take something from you. Granted, they're giving a lot of information, but sometimes it's not digestible because you don't have the human connection. You know, I can read a page and you can read a page and I'm like, I don't get it. Or like you said, I get something totally different versus, no, Emmett, look, this is what I meant by this. This equals this times this. And then you wrap it in plastic wrap with a Ziploc on top. Oh, I forgot the Ziploc part.
Yep.
So what do you see yourself in the next 18 months?
We have a mission here with the kids, a very, very focused one, and that is to help dominate in the real estate space, in the mentoring space, by helping our associates. These are people we do deals with. We lock arms and do deals with them, helping them complete 1,500 transactions in the next, between now and 2022. It was a 5-year mission originally. So to do that, what we have to empower individuals and families beyond just real estate. That's how you get it done, because of everything you and I just talked about. And to do that, we need about 125 people around the country. We're about halfway there.
Oh, awesome. And you're doing this low key. You're not just bombarding the country. We're coming here on Saturday, which you said you're not doing. You're doing it so that the people who come to you are the right people.
This is huge. Now, this will surprise, I know anyone that's ever talked to anyone that coaches. We had just last week, and it's not easy, but we have values here too, not just a mission. And we had someone apply for one of our higher level programs. Most real estate educators and coaches in any industry would say, great, bring him in. They got money, bring him in. Yeah. We had to deny him. We denied him because he didn't fit with our values. So no, we do not go run around trying to jam people in our program. They have to apply, like I said earlier. And in this case, we had to say no, and they were flabbergasted.
Like, what do you mean you won't take my money?
Yeah. You don't fit. If we just say you don't fit, no hard feelings. We're here for email support and we're here for you, but you don't fit in this particular program. So we're very picky about that, Emmett. Just there's no reason to do that. You know, we're here to help, and it's got to be a right fit, or it's a headache later.
And the name of your book is The New Rules of Real Estate Investing. 24 leading experts reveal their real estate secrets. What other programs, what else do you have available, and where can people find you?
Sure. So let me give them a free link for that book. There's 2 books. That one's a bestseller too. That one's a brand new one. Just go to New Rules for Free, FOR, not for. So newrulesforfree.com. It's going to ask what show. Just put your show in. They'll get shipping covered. You know how people say, oh, here's my book. It's for free. But put your credit card in. It's $8 to ship it. We're going to ship it for free. You will not pay 10 cents. So that's that. And then they can go to what we said earlier. The free webinar is just over at smartrealestatecoach.com. It's always there. They can go through it. We update it constantly. It's going to be, if you can deal with listening to me for 55 minutes, you'll get a lot of good content and you'll decide, hey, is this something I want to pursue further?
So I'll tell you how to listen to him, guys. You load it up on your smartphone. When you get in the car, you connect it to your Bluetooth and you just listen. I absorb so much content in the car. I absorb videos. I don't watch the videos, but most of the time you don't need to see it anyway. It's like a pre-conditioning, and then I go back, and if I need to see some actual things, then I go back and go to those specific points. And
now, do you turn up the speed so you can get through more?
No, only on audiobooks I do that.
Audio, yeah, that's what I do it on. But I was told on my podcast, they said, Chris, I can't turn yours up. You already talk at like 1.5. Like if I can't make it any faster, I won't even hear you.
Yeah, but sometimes you can make it slower too.
Slower? They'd probably have to do that with me.
Yeah, because I had a book and I was like, oh my goodness. And I turned it up to like 1.15 and it became, I was like, okay, that's digestible. Well, I really want to thank you for being on the Billionaire Lifestyle Podcast. And by the way, make it Billionaire Lifestyle Podcast, not the for the link. It's Billionaire Lifestyle, because if you put the on there, then all kinds of other stuff comes up.
Love it.
But thank you for being and sharing your knowledge on the Billionaire Lifestyle Podcast.
I appreciate you having me. Fun, and you ask great questions, so it's a pleasure.
Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, this is how we depart from you. We depart from you with information related to who you are. You are here for a reason. You didn't just come down here because there was nothing to do somewhere else. You came here with a purpose. And if you don't move on to that purpose, you're going to have to come back to complete that purpose. So start the journey now. You are a spiritual being having a physical experience. You are part of everything and yourself at the same time. Let that sink in. But let's just take it to you. Every day we get in the shower and we get out, and you guys have heard this a billion times. Drop your towel and be as you came to this planet with yourself. You're probably in the bathroom. Go to the mirror, and I want you to realize just how awesome you are, because we as humans, as intelligent as we are, we cannot just make you. You're special. Look at those flabby arms, and you might have a mole or receding hairline or a hole in your afro like I have. That's you. Somebody loves you. Somebody's always loved you. It might be your parents, it might be a friend, brother, sister, it might be someone you don't even know. Revel in that. Just kind of take in like, somebody loves me. I don't know who they are, but yeah. Now, I want you to get close to the mirror. I want you to look in the mirror, look in your eyes. Your eyes are like nebulae in the sky. I say this all the time, but I really want it to sink in. As above, so below. Everything is connected. Everything is fractal. When you think something, you can bring it to this physical existence by your thoughts, through your hands and through your actions and interactions with other people. Starts in your head and comes out into the world. As above, so below. When you meet someone who has those nebulae in their eye, like you, treat them with love, honor, and at the very least, respect them as a human being. Till next time, love you all. Peace.